I'm gonna show you 3 powerful cold calling techniques that you can use to start booking meetings with your dream clients and close more deals. And you wanna make sure you watch this video until the end, because if you ever struggle with cold calling and you're looking for ways to have a breakthrough and take your skills to the next level, well, this video is gonna be just for you. What's going on, everyone? It's Patrick Dang with Sales Legacy here, the ultimate online sales masterclass that's gonna show you everything you need to know when it comes to starting and accelerating your sales career. Now, before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you wanna see more videos like this, and let's get into these cold calling techniques. Now, the first tip I have for you is you want to create a reason for why people should listen to you. Now, if you're given a list and you're just calling the list completely blind and you don't know what these companies are, what they're doing, and any news about them, well, it's not gonna work that well. For example, if you just called a number and said, "Hey John, how's it going? Do you wanna buy Facebook ad services?" They're gonna say, no. Why do they need it, right? Why should they listen? You're just sounding like every other spammer doing cold calls. So how you wanna kind of change it is you want to create some kind of context, right? Because when you have context, you have leverage, and you're basically saying, hey, I'm listening, I know what you're dealing with, and I can help you out. So some talking points you can use in a cold call could be, let's say a C executive was just hired at a company and they're brand new and they're looking for ways to improve the company. Well, maybe that's a good time for you to come in and be the new vendor for them, right? Or let's say you hear on the news that a company recently won a big deal or they made a big partnership with another company. That might be a good time to talk about it and see where you may be able to add some value too. Some other examples might be when a company raises funding, when they acquire another company or merge with another company. Maybe they released a new product or service, or maybe there's some kind of trend that's completely affecting a certain industry like finance and blockchain, right? So whatever it is, you have to have some kind of context, and it does take a little bit of work to find out what these things are and use them in a conversation, but that's gonna mean a big difference because now you have some leverage talking points and you don't sound like everybody else. So for example, let's say you're in the middle of a cold call and I was the cold caller and John is a prospect, and I say, hey John, I noticed that you guys just raised $10 million, congratulations. John's like, oh yeah, Patrick, thanks. It was a lot of hard work to get there. And then I could further add by saying, hey, I saw on TechCrunch that you guys were planning to, expand your services into Southeast Asia. And I was curious to know if you guys needed any help when it comes to localizing your products and services to fit that demographic, because as you know, selling to, let's say, people in Southeast Asia, it's not exactly the same as selling to America. Is that something you guys were looking into? And the person might say, oh yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do, but we're having trouble doing X, Y, Z. Right? And so that's your opportunity to come on board and see if you can help in any way. So by having some kind of context, right? In this example, I'm just saying that a startup wants to expand in Southeast Asia, but they don't know the local market and they don't know how to market to, say, Gen Z in Southeast Asia. Well, maybe I'm a marketing agency who happens to be an expert at doing that. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to find these leverage points. You can't just be like, hey, I'm a marketer, buy my stuff. It doesn't work. You have to do your research and have a compelling reason to show why you're different from everybody else. And when you're different, you're perceived as what? Better. Now, the next tip I have for you is you're gonna want to have success stories ready. Any kind of case studies or customers you worked with in the past and they found some success because they use your products and services, you definitely wanna have those ready to communicate and share, right? So anybody can say they can provide a certain service, but not many people can say they provide the service, they have a guarantee, and here are their happy customers. Now you're differentiating yourself from everybody else, right? So for example, as you know, if you watch my channel, I have a masterclass called Sales Legacy, where a lot of people who are just starting their sales career, they take the course, they find a sales job, and they do well in their sales job. So if somebody sends me an email, if they talk to me on the phone, they say, hey, do you have any past examples of people who went through the Sales Legacy program and where they are at now? And I have a bunch of testimonials, people leave reviews, and people let me know what companies they work at after they join my program. And it's companies like Oracle, Salesforce, Fastly, like a lot of big technology companies. And I can say, look, I can't guarantee that you're gonna get a job because, it's really up to you to interview well and actually get the job. But I can guarantee that I'm gonna give you the best knowledge possible based on my experience and my students' experiences on what things you need to know to be as attractive as possible to be a great candidate to get these jobs. I can guarantee that. And by sharing those real life stories and real testimonials, people are a lot more likely to buy because they say, hey, that guy was just like me and he went through Patrick's program and he got the certain result that I want, so I'm gonna go through the program too. So it's simple as that. Like, whatever it is that you're selling, it's the same thing. Whoever that you helped in the past, be prepared to share what stories and challenges that they had and how they were able to overcome those challenges because they purchased your product and service. And I'm not saying that you have to set up a testimonial call and, connect two people together and so that person can share your experience, because you can only do that so many times before somebody gets annoyed. So, at bare minimum, just have the case study, the story ready to talk about it over the phone so that the person, is interested enough to move forward in the next step of the sales cycle, right? Because when you're cold calling, all you're really doing is scheduling another meeting. So as long as you tell a story enough to get them to the next part, that is good enough. And then you can move forward. Now, the next tip I have for you is understanding that sales objections are your best friend. Now, in cold calling, I know that, sales objections might feel like the worst thing possible, right? Like you want to sell something to somebody, you want to schedule a meeting, but they say, well, we're already working with somebody else. Oh, the price is too high, whatever it is, right? And for a lot of salespeople, they hate when they get these objections because they feel like, oh my God, I got rejected, I'm a loser, and I'm not good at sales, I should quit. But in reality, sales objections are your best friend because they're telling you, the customer are telling you from their mouth why they don't want to buy or why they don't want to move forward with a deal. And because they're telling you this information, you can use that information to change the way you communicate your value, maybe change the product and service that you're selling so that you start getting less no's and you start getting more yeses. Be grateful that somebody is willing to tell you upfront like why they won't move forward, because then you'll be able to use that information to improve your sales process. So anything negative, like any pain that you experience in your life, actually pain is your best friend. It's the signal that shows you which direction you should go. And a lot of times, the more painful something is that you have to do, that's probably the right direction to go. And that's probably the direction that most people will not take because it's too difficult, too painful, and they don't want to do it. I'll give you a personal example. Let's say for me creating these videos for you, I remember I used to get a lot of comments, or not a lot, but a few comments. People say like, oh, they didn't like my hair because I was doing the man bun at the time. And as you can see, my hair is different now. And at first I was like, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm just gonna be me and I'm just gonna do what I do. And if they don't like it, they don't like it, right? So I did that for a while. And then personally for me, I was doing a man bun for a couple years. So I felt like I wanted to do a change in style, and then I did this kind of hair. And then I was like, plus people were saying they didn't like the man bun anyway, so let's just try this new hairstyle. And then because I listened to that feedback, now I would say the majority of the people who are watching my videos, they like the hairstyle, and some people like the man bun, but they still like that new hairstyle. And so now when it comes to making videos, it's more palatable to everybody, right? So I would say a man bun, it is cool, but at the same time, some people are turned off by it. Whereas if I have a hair like this, people really don't have anything negative to say about it, and it doesn't really, having a man bun doesn't give me a real advantage in creating videos. So it all worked out, right? And that's just listening to feedback, even if that little hint of rejection hurts or the little mean comments, they don't really hurt that much, but you feel a little sting, right? And so by feeling the sting and understanding the pain, you start asking yourself like, should I make a change? And a lot of times you don't have to if you don't want to, but sometimes it may give you a signal on what might be the more positive thing to do. And actually, to be honest, as when I changed my hair and I changed the thumbnails to fit the new hairstyle, all my videos have been getting more views. So is that an indicator that the hair makes a big difference? Maybe, I will never know. So anyways, in cold calling, it's the same thing, right? However you're approaching it, people are gonna give you a rejection. So you have to learn how to take that rejection, analyze it to see like if someone is just being mean or if it's a legitimate rejection. And then from there, use that information to decide what you need to change to improve your conversion rates to get people to book the next meeting. So an example of this would be, let's say a customer says, we already work with a competitor. So if you're finding a lot of people you talk to already work with a competitor, well, what are you gonna prepare when they say that, right? Like, can you challenge the current way they're currently doing things and say like, hey, would it make sense to replace that vendor with someone who is better if they can get better results? Are they open to that conversation, right? So what are the different ways you're gonna open up that conversation? You can't just say like, oh, you work with a competitor, so I'm gonna go to the next person. Ask if they're open to working with another person, or maybe they have two different agencies doing something else, or maybe you have something that can complement what they already have instead of directly compete against them, right? So many different ways to spin it. Doesn't matter how you do it, but the important part is like you can't just give up. You have to use those objections as something positive and improve the way you communicate your value. And so with that said, those are gonna be my 3 tips on how to improve your cold calling. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you really want to take your sales game to the next level, make sure to check out my masterclass, Sales Legacy. Link is in the description, where you're gonna get access to a free 1-hour sales training to see if the masterclass is right for you. So with that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I'll see you guys in the next one.